And then also I was at Disneyland. I was on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and so I sucked my boyfriend's just a little bit. It was very quick. Like I couldn't, I just wanted to like be able to say I did it, but it was maybe like 30 strokes. I'm so glad I'm not banned because I love Disneyland.
I ain't lying. They got banned from doing it for Disney World. It corrupted the mouse down there. God, so much.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You know what I mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. I have here today a very special guest. Please welcome Mandy Muse. Mandy, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're battling all kind of technical difficulties to get this interview done, but we got it, by God, and we are here, and I'm excited about this interview. I've checked out some that you've done with some other podcasts, and I think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I think so.
So you are in the adult entertainment industry.
Yes.
And you're known for quite a few different tricks that we'll get into a little bit as we unfold this episode. But you had kind of a little break, and then you come back, and I definitely want to get into that. But like any good story, I like to start from the beginning, kind of tell us a little bit, about early life. And it's always the key point in the story of how you got into this industry. I think that's very interesting because no two people have the same story of how they got in the industry.
Yeah, it definitely. It's always funny, like hearing everyone's stories too. But so it began with me being a raver. I started go-go dancing, and I remember my first time I got on stage to go-go dance, and it was the best feeling ever. And at that point, I was like, I want to perform. And so I started go-go dancing. I became a part of a company called Crave Girls. I started getting a lot of gigs, and then to get more gigs I had to start modeling. So the modeling led to nude modeling, and actually originally the modeling that I was doing, the first photo shoot I ever had was a bikini photo shoot on a beach. And so I was like, I didn't feel confident, and I was like, I don't think this is for me. But when I did my first nude photo shoot, I was like, like, I feel like that was the first time I ever said anything good about myself, And so I was like, okay, so I look better without my clothes. And then aside from that, I was just already experimenting a lot sexually. So at the time while I was go dancing and started the modeling, I was having a threesome on the military base with 2 Marines. We were having a good time. For some reason, we were attempting a DP, and at that time, I haven't even done anal. So I think it was one of them that really wanted to try it, and I was like, okay, yeah. It didn't work out.
Okay. And this is not in the business. This is just for the hell of it, for fun.
Oh, yeah. Like, I started having fun very early in my age. But so the how I got into my first scene. So while I was having that threesome, this other Marine walked in, and he was very handsome. And I was like, oh, get my number. And so actually my friend later on gave him my phone number. And I was like, that's really nice. Cause you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that wouldn't be like a normal thing, but I guess it was a military bro code. So he texted me, and he was like, would you be interested in doing a uniform fetish website with me? And it's all these Marines, people in the Navy, I think even doctors, like wearing their uniform, having sex. I don't know how the hell it worked out. But so I did it, and I wore my high school cheerleading uniform.
Oh yeah, you can never go wrong with the cheerleading uniform.
Yeah.
That and the schoolgirl outfit are like the can't miss uniforms.
Yeah, I always was sad that I didn't go to a private school, not because of like the the education, because I wanted to wear a school uniform so bad.
Oh yeah, they were like I remember when I was coming up, Britney Spears done that first like music video, and she was dressed in that school outfit. And like ever since then, I mean, it's always been the thing, but that just kind of really, when I was younger, that kind of catapulted that whole outfit into another stratosphere.
Right. Yeah. I guess were people wearing uniforms before that, like school uniforms?
I'm sure they were now as degree in that manner, like in the more provocative manner. I don't know, but I'm sure that was a thing. It has to be.
Yeah. Well, if
Yeah,
not, that's really iconic of Britney Spears.
and I'm sure Hugh Hefner had somebody walking around in some sort of outfitted. The librarian or the teacher, something was around, I'm sure.
Right.
So that, I mean, that's a very funny scenario. This guy comes in while this is going on. He's just like, hey, whenever you get done over there, I'd like, here's my number.
Yeah. Yeah. He was on duty, I guess. So he couldn't join. So,
Why can you not join? Because he's on duty.
I think he would get in trouble because, like, I think he's like working, from what I understood.
So if you're working, you can't partake in any of that activity.
No foursomes.
What if it would have just been you and him? Was that
I wasn't even supposed to be there. They had to sneak me in.
Oh wow, okay. Well, you're sneaking in on base and everything. You're risking it all here.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it for my country.
Well, those boys need all the help they can get over there. God bless them for our troops. And whenever this was the first time you tried anything like this.
DP. DP. Yeah, I didn't really understand what it was, but that was not my first threesome. That wasn't.
So, what age did you start doing those types of things, and did you realize you were comfortable with it? Because with all the people that I've talked to in the years, they had to work up a little bit each step. Work up to each progression, I guess you would say.
Am I allowed to say this because it's underage?
We'll beat around the bush a little bit. Jeez. We won't say an age.
Yeah, it was in high school.
Okay, there you go. That's good.
Yeah, in the middle of high school.
Okay, I got you. So we're talking sophomore, junior.
Junior year, yeah.
Jeez.
Well, actually, no. When I was in 8th grade, I was already. Wait, no. I think 9th grade. Summer going to 9th grade. That's when it happened because I remember we had fires and we didn't have school. So that was the first time, and we were experimenting together, like my girlfriends and then these guys, and so we were doing it next to each other. Would you call that an orgy?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, 2 couples. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there no swapping or anything like that?
Not like at the same time.
Right.
I think they'll rotate.
I don't know if you have to swap for it to be classified that or not. I don't know. I don't know the rules.
Right. I know that. Yeah, I actually never thought of that.
I gotta break out the handbook. Do you actually have to swap for it to be considered an orgy? So you're piling off this at a young age here. So that's not really, uncharted territory by the time you hook up with these Marines.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was very experienced before then. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it wasn't a far stretch at all. It wasn't like me, innocently getting into the industry. It was kind of meant to be.
I mean, if you enjoy it and that's what you're into, then I don't knock anyone in this profession, because I deal with people all the time say, oh, I don't watch that or whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, you're weird. But and then they always have something to say, but I'm like, to start with, like, some of the nicest people I've ever met has been in this industry. Like, do you know Ivan?
Yeah, it's funny because I just saw like his Instagram earlier, and he was posting some throwbacks.
Yeah.
Russian Ivan, right?
Yeah, Russian Ivan. That's my dog, man. I love him to death, and he shot me over a lot of people to come on the podcast. I done a really good one with one of his friends, Lorelei Suicide, not too long ago. She had an amazing story of like domestic violence and survival. And I mean, it's just some of the best people I've ever met has been in this industry. And I'm just like, you don't knock anybody until you try it. And if that's what you're into, then I mean, it pays very well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is like an entertainment thing and nothing's promised.
Right.
So, it's a hustle.
But yeah, but there's definitely a lot of marketing and backdrive. It's not just as simple as you show up, do that, go home, and then everything just kind of the money comes raining down. Especially like you, because you have the OnlyFans going. Now with the advent of social media, it's a lot more behind the scenes work, which is a good thing too, because with that you can control a lot of your content. Whereas before you got paid a set price to do one thing, and then that was all the money you would generate from it. Now with the advent of like OnlyFans, that's kind of changed the game.
Oh yeah, entirely. It's great. I do appreciate it, being able to be in control, because that was always like kind of the goal when we were, just going to set and getting paid, a flat rate or whatever.
Right.
And so, yeah, that was always kind of the goal, is to have your own website.
Yeah.
So now OnlyFans makes it really easier. You don't have to like know how to make a website.
With not necessarily like you were obviously highly sexual, but did you watch porn yourself?
No, not like when I was that young. Yeah, maybe like a little bit later in life, probably around the time I like got into the industry. Just a little bit before that.
See, I was blessed with one of those old school black boxes that got you all the cable channels that you would normally have to pay for, and we didn't have to pay for. So it would give you all the movies and everything, and all the wrestlings and boxings and all that. But then at nighttime, it had different types of shows on there.
Yeah.
So I always tell people like that's kind of where I learned and hone my skills on what to do and how to do it. So I probably was watching at a much younger age than most people just because I had access to that. But that's a little strange to me though that you didn't really watch porn until you got into the industry.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's in a good way, because
Yeah,
I didn't learn from anyone. It was like a freestyle.
right. Well, sometimes that is the best way.
Yeah, you just gotta really feel it with your heart.
So the chance meeting with the Marine opened up the door for you to do the things in uniform, and then they just kind of progressed from there. Just make contacts, make avenues, hustle here, hustle there, and just kind of navigate your way through the industry.
Yeah, the he was like a manager agent. He was just, um independent manager agent. But he was the one that started getting me the modeling gigs, and then I did that scene, and so it kind of went hand in hand. Like, I feel like I was gonna get into the industry no matter what, because of the modeling.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I just started. He was like, "You want to do a solo?" And then somehow he was like, "You want to do boy girl?" And then somehow it went to boy girl anal.
That transformation. What year are
Yeah.
we talking here?
2014.
Okay.
2 years
So,
after high school.
wow. So what's the industry like at that point? Because by then, like I would say internet is really a big thing. And that was a weird transition because when I was coming up, you still had VHS tapes.
Hmm.
Then everything started transferring over to DVDs. And then that was the thing to have. Then everything started transferring to online content. So what was the biggest money makers when you were coming into the business? How did you get the most bang for your buck? No pun intended.
I guess the orgies.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that would be the biggest bang. But yeah, it was just DVD era. I feel like the iPhone started really popping off at that time too. So yeah, it was still DVD era. I think it started going to Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, you
A
had
little bit.
Blu-rays and everything.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just doing box covers type of thing. Just going to set. Yeah, I get it was just DVDs for me. I mean, browsers online, Bang Bros online. Um, so stuff like that versus like now all online.
There was one that I used to always watch because I always had those channels, and it was Big Sausage Pizza. You remember that?
No.
It was a reoccurring thing where the guy would always show up as a delivery driver with the pizza box, and he would sit down, and when the girl would open up the pizza, it would always be coming out of the middle of the box. It was the weirdest fucking thing, but they had a reoccurring thing of that, and that was the name of it was Big Sausage Pizza.
So is that the OG scene or company for it?
It might be.
Okay, yeah, because I've done a scene like that,
Yeah,
but I maybe they invented it.
it could be because I mean it's definitely been a while ago because I've been a watcher for many a year, but it was definitely a long time ago. But I just remember it was just being a very odd choice, like coming through a pizza box. But
I mean, it sounds realistic.
coming into the industry and you hadn't been like a watcher of it, did you have anybody that inspired you, or would you more or less just gonna pave your own way, carve your own path, do your own thing?
The all the scenes that I was shooting, like I specifically told my, agent manager, whatever you want to call it, I guess manager, I guess agent, I don't know, but I specifically was telling him all the things I wanted to do. So I was like, I want to do anal, I want to shoot for kink.com, like I want to do bondage, and I want to shoot with TS girls, and so yeah, like I remember the first like performer, I was like, whoa, was Dakota Sky, because she was so, little,
Mhm.
and the dicks were so big, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I didn't think like, oh, I want to do that. I was just like, wow, that's an art. Because I'd never seen dicks that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that make you nervous at all?
No, not at all. I was just like, whoa, like that's a big giant dick. So yeah, but I guess it wasn't like crazy for me to experience those big dicks. I think maybe with time they started getting bigger, and so I just didn't notice.
I tell you something in the industry, man. I talked with Ryan Connor. I don't know if you know who she is or not.
Yeah.
And she was just talking about like all the crazy shit that people do to be able to keep up with the times and the demand, especially men of like pills and then injections. And then there's been situations where shit has exploded, like shit has basically just popped open and, with it can just have really long lasting effects of if you're trying to cheat, I guess, to be able to, I guess, for lack of a better term, to be able to hold up under these demands.
Yeah, and like for what costs, I guess.
Yeah, that's my thing is like, I mean, obviously everybody's not blessed like Ron Jeremy, but I mean, as a guy, I'm never really watching these things going, wow, that guy's got an awesome tool. Like I'm not paying attention to the guy.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's rare. I feel like most people talk about the dick.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, like with Ron, he could be a foot away from somebody and still be enjoying it. So that's almost like I guess you couldn't help but to pay attention to that. But like I guess smaller than that, I mean, I don't think that's what a guy's really paying attention to when he's watching.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Yeah.
focused on the woman. And then if you even go further back on there, that was like John Holmes back in the day before Ron Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
That was like I've actually read a lot into his story, and he had a bad story, man. He got on drugs real bad, wound up hooking up with a guy that they'd done like this robbery of a huge drug dealer in California named Eddie Nash. And he basically set Eddie up to be robbed. Eddie found out. He made Holmes tell him where the people were. They went and like brutally took out everybody in the house.
Like
And
killed them?
yes. And the
Oh my
cops,
god.
that was the worst thing they had seen since the Manson murders.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a movie about it. Val Kilmer plays John Holmes. It's called Wonderland.
Wonderland. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah, you
remember
should
this.
check it
I
out.
want to watch
It's
that.
called The Wonderland Murders, but yeah, it was John Holmes was in there because he was a big star back then. Everybody knew him, everybody loved him. And yeah, he went downhill after that. He was actually charged with the murder because they found a handprint on the wall in blood that matched Holmes' handprint. So him and Nash both had to go on trial for it. And I think they both got acquitted.
Oh
So
wow.
the money got spread around, but yeah, it's a pretty wild tale. I think that's why like this industry kind of has like a cautionary tale behind it because there are some bad stories with it. Did you have any reservations at all about getting into it, or you didn't give a shit about none of that?
As far as like
Just anything. I'm sure there's probably people tell you there'll be people to, maybe try to take advantage of you or get you out of money or hustle you or scam you or something along those lines. Did you have any reservations?
no one really told me. I feel like I'm such a free spirit that like I never had guidance.
Yeah.
Like I mean, even my mom was like, she was like, she's gonna do it anyways, type of thing. So not really. Like, I didn't really know. Like, I just experienced it, I mean, there was definitely some times I was getting taken advantage of.
It seems like people would try to do that a lot to people that are young and fresh into the business that really don't have a support system, and by that I mean like somebody to school them to the game, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I did have that guidance, but I mean, I can't change it, but I did learn a lot. And they always say this, but it made me who I am today.
Right. Well, no, I mean, that's true. I mean, you got to take your bump, and that's in anything, man. I mean, this industry, any industry, like you have to take your bumps and bruises, and then that makes you, a better whatever the case. It don't matter if you fucking bake bread. You're gonna burn a few loaves before you figure out the ovens and everything else and how it works. Does that incline you any to help out younger stars getting into the business?
Oh, entirely. Like, I really plan to help, the younger performers with mental health awareness, because I feel like we all experience similar things and we just don't realize, there's so many um, characteristics that show, that mental health, is an issue. So it does like wear and tear on the body too, as well as the physical.
Mhm.
But yeah, I do hope that I can, talk about my past experiences, and, make people aware of situations. And I don't know, maybe not like necessarily meaning to call out the people or companies, but I feel like at some point you that should be talked about. You know what I mean?
No, it definitely should, because I think it needs to be understood that this is an industry that's not going anywhere. It is old as time. It's never gonna, be a thing that ends. We're not gonna wake up 3 or 4 years from now and say, all right, there's no more porn industry. It's not gonna happen.
Well,
So
I hope not legally.
yeah. um, so I think with that, you have to figure out ways to help people that are coming into it do it safely, because I think that's the hardest thing right now is people that are coming in, they don't know. And if you have people out there that are going to take advantage of you, just like if you have a dirty mechanic that'll take advantage of someone, say, oh, your car needs this, this, and this, and it really don't need nothing but a new belt. There are people like that in every industry. But I
Yeah.
think especially in that one, you're gonna have more of the people that are maybe just a little bit greedier. And then because it is such a free for all, you got, so many companies competing for the same viewership.
Yeah, and going into it, I feel like you're not like, aware of how it's supposed to be.
Right.
So you're just kind of going with the flow, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's supposed to be like that, and that's not.
So when you go to the go and see, when would you get like your first like actual booking scene type thing after that?
That's a very good question. I was just having so much fun at that age, so everything kind of like, was all blended together. But yeah, it was soon after I got into the industry. My first mainstream anal scene was with Mike Adriano for Evil Angel.
Okay.
Um, so it kind of progressed from there. Some companies, I don't think they still are around anymore. Um, but yeah, so I don't even know if they do ghosties like they used to.
So I mean, like some women are very reluctant to do anal. You jump right into that right off the bat.
Yeah, it's funny during that Marine scene. Like, I didn't even like I didn't know anything about anal. Like, I didn't even do it at all. But for some reason, I was like, put it in my ass, and they're like, what, really? And I was like, put it in my ass. Uh, like, I didn't know you have to clean out or anything. And so I don't know. I feel like it was like future me, like
Yeah.
coming to like younger me and being like, "You're gonna do well in anal."
'Cause there is a process for that. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? Walk us through that process.
Okay. Well, Mike Adriano, he's definitely the god of anal. So he was the one that taught me, and it was amazing. So, um, there's ways you can do it, and then there's ways people prefer to do it. But ideally, if you're new at it, you probably don't want to eat too much the day before, which now is kind of I feel like you don't have to do that because then you're all shaky and like dizzy on set. Right. But so you have to clean out with an enema. And so that's like a natural laxative, liquid in a bottle and, a little stick. And so you want to dump that out. You don't want to put the laxative solution in. So you put water in there and then you just, keep cleaning out, you have to fill up the bottle like 1,000 times, which kind of sucks. But there's Imodium that you can take, which stops the process of, your digestive system. And
a lot of behind the scenes work here.
Yeah, for sure. And then also when I first got into it, I was given an anal kit, which it was all of the different sizes of, I guess like girth. So that really helped a lot. And from my own experience, I realized breathing techniques are everything. So, you have to breathe in and out very carefully. And then that's when you can stretch a little bit more.
Is there a size preference when they're doing that?
I feel like just in the industry, you want to at least get to the second to highest in the anal kit. Because, that there's some thick boys out there.
Yeah. So jumping into that, I mean, that's a lot further than people go in sometimes their whole career. Right. So then, I think that kind of like sets a bar. How do you go higher than that? What's next after that?
After anal?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question because I feel like you can stop right there, but I feel like maybe on the intensity, you can start doing double anal or double vag, where there's 2 dicks in one hole at the same time. Right. Yeah, that's something that, I'm never going to do personally. Right. But I feel like that would be the next step, maybe.
You've never done either one of those?
No. I just feel like, I don't know, for me, like, it would just be, like, unnecessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can wait their turn.
I mean, you could do one in each hole, but,
yeah.
What
is there a pleasurable sensation in that?
In like DPs or just anal?
No, just
yeah, a DP is amazing. Like I feel like it's just so special because at the same time both of your holes are being pleasured, and then not only that, like when they're inside, they like rub each other. So in that wall they're being rubbed, and so it's just I don't know. It's really special being able to feel 2 pleasures at once. I like how it zoomed in on my face really tight after I said that.
Yeah, I did that. It's still doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. That's not me, folks. I'm not doing that. I guess you even got the camera excited there for some reason.
Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna rock it.
Oh, that's funny. So did you have anybody that you preferred working with in the industry?
Yeah, I had some people that I like to work with regular. Ramon Mar. He was great. He just has this magical touch that like I don't know, just so unique. Like definitely promised to like squirt and come from him. I really like working with Mike Adriano. He also has this magical touch where you don't even realize it's in you. It just like all of a sudden you're like, oh my god. Early in my career there was a lot of like certain performers that you would just rotate with, and I really liked working with all of them. It's different now in the industry because I feel like there's a lot of different type of people, and I just haven't experienced all the new people yet. There's a lot more.
Right. Did you work with a lot of women too?
Oh yeah. I do like working with Valentina Nappi. She's great. She also has like a magical touch. But yeah, I mean, I like working with Anna Chambers too. She's really great. I worked with Candace Dare. She's awesome. We have a great vibe. Um, and many more.
What was I had a question? Have you ever worked with Alexis Fox?
um, I don't think so.
And the only reason why I bring it up is she's got a very similar story of her time in the service. She was talking about it the other day because it was Veterans Day. And
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, yeah, I haven't seen that. She was in the service.
yeah, she was. I think she was in the Air Force though,
I
and I
wonder
was
if she
just
like.
like,
I
go ahead.
wonder if she was getting like gang banged.
It was similar to that. It was kind of like similar to yours. I want to say it was two guys, and I'm like, if you're not calling them Iceman and Maverick, like, what are you doing with your life? Like,
Right.
you got to be calling them Iceman and Maverick. You got to be Top Gunning it over there.
That's so funny.
I had no idea. Well, she was actually in service though. She was like in the Air Force, I think it was.
That's amazing though.
Yeah, they just had to sneak you on base. Um, when did you take your break?
So I took my break in 2019. I never retired from the industry. I was still doing OnlyFans. So when I took a break, I started going to school. I finished the program. It was for a medical assisting program. I went to a trade school. It was amazing. Like I did so well, and like I'm so proud of myself for it. I became the student ambassador. I was working financial aid at my school. I had a great time at my school, and I did really well. And so after that, my school got me a job, and it was funny because the job they got me was for a urologist, which is just ironic because I was working with penises and vaginas in another industry.
Right back to it into this.
Yeah, like the doctor was like, "You're very comfortable. That's great." And I was like, "Yeah, everyone has one."
Where I remember you telling a story, and I don't remember if it was at that job or maybe the job you had while you were in school, but you were noticed by I think you said a FedEx guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was the only one while I was working. That was like my first week too. He was like, "Hey, I know you," and I was like, "Nope," because I was like, he's like, "Did you work at another office?" I was like, "Nope," and he's like, "No, I know you," and I was like, "No, you don't. Please leave." But that was the only time, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fear that you always, well, I don't want to say fear, but like something that you have to deal with because you know that there's going to be a certain amount of, I guess, stigmatism that comes with that work, especially when you venture out to do other things. There was a girl, she was big back when Jenna Jameson was pretty big in the industry. Her name was Bella Donna. You remember her?
Yes, yes.
So when I moved up here to where I'm living at now, my wife and I used to go to this restaurant. It was a buffet, and there was a girl in there that looked exactly like her. And me and her like both kind of said it like she looks just like Belladonna, but we didn't have the nerve to tell her like where we knew her from. And it was funny because it was like when we moved up here, it was early in the our life change. We had moved areas, and so everything was like really good. And then I think the restaurant closed down. So we wound up, not really seeing her again. And then probably like 6 months ago, she started working at Logan Steakhouse where we go a lot. And we were like, that's her.
She was actually working there.
She was working there. And this has been like 10 years since we had seen her. And like, it was like we were talking, she remembered us and it was like we were talking, like no time has passed. And it was just crazy because it was like, so much has happened in our life since then. But we just still never had the nerve to tell her exactly where who we thought she looked like. We didn't know if she would get offended or not, but she looked just like her. I swear. Only thing she didn't have was the tattoos.
Okay, so that's why you're like, okay, that's not her.
Yeah, well, I knew. Yeah, I knew it wasn't her. She might have been slightly younger, but yeah, I mean, just like it was. If you'd have put them up side by side, I would have sworn they'd have been twins or something, separated at birth.
She
Yeah,
probably gets that all the time, though.
she probably does. It was just like I'm up there with my wife and my son and daughter, and I'm just like, I was, hey, you look like a porn star we watch all the time.
That's hilarious.
So when you took your break, was there a specific reason for that, or you just
Yeah, there was a specific reason. I was in a committed relationship,
okay?
and like I feel like society has all these like expectations of people, and I feel like in the industry, like there was kind of like a thing where you would want to save up to go to school, and you know what I mean, because you can't be in the industry forever type of thing. So I felt like I was along the lines of that, and then I ended up stopping shooting slowly after time, because I felt uncomfortable doing it, and then my partner did as well. um, and just because I was like, okay, let me like transition into like what the world is expecting people to do. um and so I ended up getting engaged. And so that was kind of like really the reason, like I was gonna end up being married, having kids, and just like being a normal person,
Right.
uh, which obviously didn't last.
Was there anybody that you dated before then that tried to get you to stay out of the industry? Because I feel like that's one of them situations, and I'm not saying it never happens, but
Yeah.
most guys think the idea would be cool to start with, but then they realize that you actually have to do this. That's your job. You go to work, this is what you do. Then I think it kind of becomes they're not as comfortable with it as they thought, and then it can create some issues.
Yeah, I don't think it happened at that time, to be honest. I wasn't really in ever like a real relationships. Like I was just kind of like seeing people, you know what I mean?
Okay. Did you
Yeah.
tell them what you did?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One time I didn't tell them, but that's because I just started,
Yeah.
and yeah, it didn't work out because of that. And I was like bummed, and until this day he's like, "Well, you lied to me about it." I was like, "Yeah, because I didn't know I was gonna really do it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you come back, when you said when you left, you kind of maintained the OnlyFans throughout that break.
Yeah, it was, OnlyFans really started off in 2017. I was very like confused on even how you're supposed to do it,
Mm.
because like again, I didn't have guidance, and so I wasn't like into it. I was just so used to going to set, you know what I mean, and just performing. I was like, okay, like I have to like buy lighting. How do you even do lighting? Like, do people go like study lighting theory? You know what I mean? And so it was driving me insane. But yeah, so I was still doing that, not as well as I do today.
Right.
Yeah, so I was a little bit doing that, and then COVID, popped off, OnlyFans, and so that's kind of when I started figuring it out.
Yeah. I think that was like to it was a big hit to people that were in like the clubs dancing and stuff like that. Cause obviously, at least where I'm at, a lot of the clubs shut down. So those girls were essentially out of work for a while and they didn't have a lot of backup plans. And then that kind of became a thing. And holy shit, I wish I would have had the idea of OnlyFans myself.
I know, right?
I mean, just what a fucking concept. And it's like all these multi-million dollar ideas, maybe even billion, I don't know, but definitely multi-million is people that are selling stuff that they don't even own.
Right.
Like OnlyFans, people are selling their content on their platform. Airbnb, people are selling their stuff on your website. Same thing with like Toro and car rentals and shit like that. It's like people that don't own nothing and make a gajillion dollars selling other people's shit. It's quite crazy to think about. That
Yeah, I
camera's
mean,
like loving you for so it I don't know what it just keeps going in there. I think ever since you started talking about whatever that was you were talking about earlier, it's just got it excited.
I know. Right. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just really smart. It's really interesting being like in the part of, the world progressing, and we're seeing, like, we saw the transition of phones.
Right.
Like the phones haven't even been out that long at all. And then so now we're seeing like technology just grow in like different ways to, make money. I think it's really cool, but
No, I do too. I mean, it offers. Some people never went back to the clubs after that. They were making more money doing that than they ever were.
yeah.
And they stayed with it, and that was just their thing. What made you decide to get back into the business?
Well, I was just starting to realize like I was just really going through a hard time being okay with not being in the industry. And there was a lot that had to do with my mental health. Um and so I'm diagnosed with bipolar. And what's funny is part of one of the symptoms is hypersexuality.
Really?
So yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, it's literally a symptom.
It makes a ton of sense
Right?
from
Seriously
people
though.
I've known.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like an issue for me. I don't want to blame it for being bipolar, but I think also I'm just very much of a free spirit in general.
Right.
And I felt like the life I was living was just not for me whatsoever. And I felt like I wasn't living anymore. So, you know, I had some issues at home. I, had to break up. I broke up with my fiance. And then so at the time, I was working at the doctor's office, and that's when COVID happened, and that's when OnlyFans popped off.
Right.
So I'm kind of sitting there, at the office making not what I do on OnlyFans. Like I didn't really need to be there. I got a dog and a cat, and I wasn't spending time with them, and I was just like what am I doing here? Like this is not the life that I want to live. And so that's why I got back into the industry, and I'm really happy I did. And now I understand, the difference between, being controlled, by society, and then the life I want to live.
Right.
It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. But if you're comfortable with it and you're okay with it, then that's your thing. Then by all means, do it. When you came back in, did you have a specific, direction you wanted to go, avenue wanted to hit, pick up where you left off type of thing? What was your kind of mode going back in?
That's a good question. So when I wanted to go back in, I actually got in contact with my old agent, Randy from Society 15. And so we, kind of talked about it, and he took a break as well, during the time I did. And so we, talked, and we decided together that we wanted to go full force back into the industry. And so, I mean, over time I had to work on my image and stuff because in my 20s I was living my best life. And so, yeah, just trying to get my brand, established and a better reputation, which I'm still definitely trying to do, which is understandable.
Mhm.
I wasn't consistent before, and now I'm very much that. I'm on medication. My mental health is, doing so well. And so, yeah, I'm just still trying to get back to shooting mainstream. I've been focusing on my OnlyFans and shooting content with other performers. So I'm actually booked for some mainstream in the next couple weeks. And so I'm very excited to be able to go back on set and do what, I originally loved doing. And so, yeah, I just kind of want to get back into mainstream.
Cool. I think I actually started following you slightly before Tanya and I had communicated, and she said that you might be coming on the show. And I think there was something going on in New York. I think an event you couldn't make it to or something. Or was there a con or an award show or something?
Oh, right. So it was Exotica in New Jersey.
That's right. Exotic. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was very excited because I love the expos so much.
Yeah.
Like because I don't get to see my fans, you know what I mean? Like they're always behind the behind the computer or phone. And
Right.
so when I get to see my fans, I'm like, oh my God, like you like me? Like
What's the turnout for? Have you been to one of those before?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been to AVN, I've been to Exotica in New Jersey. I did X3 last year in LA. I've done a handful of them. I want to say.
What's the vibe on those? I almost like by the time me and him had kind of hooked up and got to know each other, I couldn't because of the PTO situation that I had at the time. But I almost flew to LA when Ivan was getting inducted because he got inducted into the Avian Hall of Fame. What's the vibe at some of those expo days?
It's whatever you want the vibe to be. I mean, it's definitely it's fun. There's like a live energy going on. It's much like a Comic Con, I guess the way you would think it is. So everyone's just excited. It's like a Disneyland for all the people that are coming to the expo. And so yeah, I mean, it's just an experience for them to for me to meet them first of all. And yeah, it's just they're so nice. They're so nice, and they just it feels like a place where I can lively be me, Mandy, and it's like for the peoples. So I love to dance. Like I love to I like to pull the the paparazzi type of thing.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. Like I love it. It's a good energy.
I think this is the one industry though, no matter how out there somebody wants to go with their personality or with their appearance or whatever, it's just accepted. I mean, I'm sure you have your issues within the industry. I think every industry does. But it does seem like to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not in it. There's a lot less judgment within that community.
Oh yeah, entirely. Like no one's gonna talk shit about you like wanting to do like this type of scene. I mean,
Right.
there are some, things like, but that was earlier on in, the industry, and times have changed, in life in general. But yeah, it's just a great time. No one's gonna judge you for wanting to be a slut.
You spoke on mental health, and I'll tap on that for a second. So you addressed that, and then you kind of admitted that it got a hold to you for a little while. How important is it, and do you think there's more of a reason in the industry for girls and guys to focus more, make sure their mental health is in good order?
Yeah, because I mean, for me, I got lost. I got, lost in the sauce. And I don't know, maybe if I was focusing on my mental health, if, um, I realized like, hey, like maybe like this isn't the best decisions to make type of thing, um, would have helped me out in life a lot more. Because, going through the waves of mental health issues is just a lot. And I think we can all relate in that sense because, again, like we get taken advantage of. And so I think that has a lot to do with it, is like seeing someone not doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. There was a video that I watched because I was doing some research this week, and I don't know if you were in it or if he was just telling the story, but he was saying he was an Uber driver.
Wait,
Is that
did I
accurate?
tell the story?
No, it was the guy telling the story, and he said he picked you up as a passenger.
Wait,
Is this accurate?
do you know the guy? Did you interview him?
I don't no, I didn't interview him. It was just on YouTube. When I searched like Mandy Muse interviews, it come up.
Really, I gotta see this. But yeah, I've definitely fucked quite a few.
Uber drivers.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Um,
And quite a few. I got it before we get into that. I'm sorry. What's the number on quite a few? What's your quite a few? Uber
maybe like three, maybe three.
Okay.
I feel like nowadays like that wasn't right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all the stories that happen now. But
I gotta hear some Uber driver stories.
So yeah, I think like it just, we were in good conversation. I thought they were cute, you know what I mean? And then yeah, that I remember this one Uber driver, he would drive like an SUV. He would occasionally pick me up. But yeah, just one thing leads to another. I just, spontaneous sex, you just have to feel the vibe, and then somehow it happens.
Do they know what you're doing? They know what you do?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So when that comes up in conversation, I think that would give a guy a little more confidence to maybe try to take it to the next. Do you wait on the guy to make the move, or do you make the
No, I'm very big on making the move. I for some reason, like when they make the move, it's just not as fun as when I make the move.
move? The girls need more of that personality. I think
Yeah.
that there's probably so many misconnections out there because both people are a lot of times, most cases, the guys are reluctant to make the move because then if it's not reciprocated, then you have to deal with the awkwardness of it.
Right, yeah. And you don't also want to be, like rude or come
Right.
off as like a predator, I guess. You know?
And especially like Uber drivers, they're probably not going to be reluctant to make the first move. That's their job. So if you weren't into it, then you could call and say something or get them, in trouble or something like that. But once they find out you're in that industry and then the conversation goes a certain way, like how does the conversation go to put that in play?
Oh man, I kind of I think about this nowadays because I was so crazy back then, and things just happened the way they were, like that threesome. And so I always think, I'm like, how did, like, even in the industry, I'm like, what did I say? Like, how did I get there? But I think you know, I think I just like maybe told them they were attractive or something, and I think so. Like maybe I was like,
I'm actually
wanna
seeing.
fuck me or something.
Okay, so let me see here.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, so I met him. He was really nice, and I like I kind of hired him as my assistant at one point.
Really?
Yeah, we never
From,
fucked though.
from being an Uber driver?
Yeah,
Wow.
'cause- yeah, it wasn't very long. He would drive me to set and stuff, but yeah, we never fucked.
What's the craziest hookup you ever had?
Ooh,
Obviously off screen.
off screen, off screen. That's such a good question. I have so many.
Okay, give us your Mount Rushmore here. Give us your top few. It's hard to
Okay.
narrow to one.
Oh, this is still hard because there's so many experiences in my life.
It
um,
might have to be a part two for this, folks, but we'll get a few of them in there.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe like earlier on in my sexual life, like the first time I fucked two guys at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, I remember they were so hot, like, and they went to like the good looking like rich people school. It wasn't a private school, but it was like they like their family had money, you know what I mean? And I felt like honored to like hang out with those like cool kids
Yeah.
because I never fit in anywhere. But so they were football players, and we were like in the bedroom, and we're sitting on the bed. They're each on one side of me, and they're like, "Do you want to go skiing?" And like together, they're like, "Oh, I don't know if she knows how to ski." And so basically, skiing was like giving
Yeah.
two hand jobs at the same time. So that was pretty fun. Like, learning, just like experiencing things for my first time were very fun.
What about like most public place?
Most public place, I don't know. Like I was snowboarding with my ex boyfriend, and we pulled over on the side, like, and fucked there.
In the
I
car
get
or in the snow?
Oh, in the snow. Like when we were
Jeez.
snowboarding down the mountain, we just hit like the little the off trail.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that was like a good little experience. And then also I was at Disneyland. I was on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and so I sucked my boyfriend's dick. Just a little bit. It was very quick. Like I couldn't, I just wanted to like be able to say I did it, but it was maybe like 30 strokes. I'm so glad I'm not banned because I love Disneyland. I haven't
I
been.
ain't lying. They got banned from doing it from Disney World. They corrupted the mouse down there. God almighty.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You know what I mean?
It's either that or Magic Mountain. It had to be one or the other.
Magic Mountain would be difficult because I feel like there's not too many areas.
It's been so long since I rode those rides, but Jesus. Yeah, that's ever got caught doing it?
No. Getting caught was like, so I was having like crazy like group sex, like swapping, back and forth with like guys and with my, girlfriends. Like, so and my bedroom was directly across like my parents' bedroom.
Right.
And so, my little brother would sleep in my parents' room sometimes, and so our rooms were connected. There was like a bathroom in between, and so, yeah, my mom kind of like caught us having like group sex, or like having like one of my boyfriends fuck me type of thing. But so that was like getting caught, but it was just like, I don't know. My mom really wasn't tripping. I don't know why. Now I think about it, but
Mom was down.
yeah, she's like, she's gonna do it anyways.
Yeah. What's next for you in the industry? Obviously, you're back. You're doing your thing. You're known for having a huge ass, especially for a white girl.
Yes, thank you.
Where are you going to take that next? Where do you see yourself going from here? And are you going to slide into any sort of different role, maybe behind the camera? Where are your future plans?
So I definitely want to get back into the mainstream, and maybe get on some, I want to say box covers, but I don't know if that's a thing. You know what I mean? But get back onto the mainstream, get back onto the websites. I want to have some new scenes in my new era.
Right.
And so I am working on a show called Fantasy Fling, and the show is going to be just like the 70s dating show back in the day. So it's going to be just like that, but there's going to be an adult creator, and the contestants are going to be their fans. And so they'll potentially be able to go on a date with them. And if both parties are comfortable, they'll be doing a scene together.
That is actually pretty genius. And I've seen reports and stuff where people build their Instagram followers like that. They want to get to a certain amount of followers, and then they do some sort of drawing, raffle, whatever it is. And then like to just let them know that this is not bullshit. That encounter is then like, basically recorded. I guess the whole thing from the meet to the date to then whatever later on, then it would obviously come out in their content if that was what both people wanted. But I think that's an ingenious type of situation to go with there.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I have some people that we're working with, and they're just amazing. And so I'm really excited to have all that come out, and really get into the process of it. We're in the beginning stages. So we're also going to have a podcast that I'll be one of the co-hosts on.
Nice.
So we're going to definitely be diving into some niches on the podcast. And
about the industry.
Yeah, like, maybe like bondage for one episode type of thing. And so we're going to definitely do niches for the podcast and, get into the industry.
Yeah. I think that's something that people are always interested, in that. I've had, I think it was Valentina Fox on, and she broke down a couple of terms like gooning. I never heard of that before. I mean, there's all types of words that I think people hear, they have no idea what they mean. And without using Urban Dictionary, and even then you're just reading it, it's good to have someone kind of explain it and break it down. And I think for whatever reason, it's still like taboo that people maybe partake in this kind of thing. So they like to be able to watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, and they can learn about it, but it's not broadcasting it to the world that they, what I have people all the time to like, they won't say shit else about any podcast that I do. I've done podcasts on wrongful convictions, mafia members, the biggest drug smugglers in the world, people that done years in prison, actors, like great comedy actors, action actors. I was like, I seen that one you did with the adult film star. And I'm like, okay, did you see any other ones? Well, no, but I seen that. Oh, there was another adult film star. Yeah. And I was like, this is why I just need to just do this. Because it seems like nobody watches the other ones. And crazy enough, that was actually when I was first going to do a podcast, I was actually going to do it on strictly sex work and the like what COVID did to it. And I was going to call it United Sex of America and talk about the fallout of, sex work and the effects that COVID had on the industry. And at the time, I didn't know anyone. So I didn't like, I had like 2 people that were willing to come on and talk, but then after that, I had nothing. And so I'm like, well, longevity wise, it's probably not a good idea because there's really, I don't know where to go from here. Now I've made contacts, in the industry, but I'm still sticking with the crime and entertainment because it definitely falls under the entertainment part of
Yeah,
that.
maybe you could have a spin-off.
Yeah, I thought about it like a secondary type show to separate the two. That way people know what they're getting. It's not too late, and I love that name, United Sex of America. It's that I own the website and I still pay for it to keep it.
Oh,
So
perfect.
just in case I ever did want to fire it off. Where can people go to track you down, follow you, all that good stuff?
Okay, so all my platforms are Mandy Muse Media. I'm on Cameo. I'm on OnlyFans. I'm on Fansly, Playboy Plus. Um, I said OnlyFans, right? I just got on Pornhub, and YouTube, TikTok. I'm still building those platforms.
Right.
And then also, if they want to apply for the Fantasy Fling Show, you can do that at fantasyflingshow.com.
Nice. Well, we will put the link to your Instagram up here. We're allowed to do that. Some of the other links, we get a little smack on the wrist if we put up there. So I'm assuming most people can probably find all the stuff you mentioned from the Instagram links if they search. I don't think I'm dealing with a bunch of rookies here to listen to the show, so y'all know where to go find her. So definitely go follow Mandy. Give her a shout out there. Let her know you're in the comments and you're following along with her. And Mandy, I appreciate you coming on the show. I've had a good time.
Yeah, thank you, Hollywood Wade.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hollywood Wade. That was Mandy Muse. And yes, she did give a blowjob in Disney World. That's how.
Woo.
Thank you. Bye bye.